Bechtel is still unresolved. Amy, an Olympic marathon hopeful, left her Lander, Wyoming apartment to run errands at 9:30 a.m. on July the 24th, 1997. Amy was spotted at a photo store at 2:30 p.m. that afternoon. This is the last confirmed sighting of Amy. It's widely held that Amy left the photo store and drove to the Shoshone National Forest to explore the course of a 10K race held by her gym that she was planning on entering. When Steve, her husband, returned home at 4:30 p.m. from rock climbing with a friend, Amy was nowhere to be found. When darkness fell, Steve called family members and enlisted neighbors to help with the search for Amy. He also alerted the police. Shortly after her disappearance, Amy's white Toyota station wagon was found parked off a dirt road in the wilderness of the Shoshone National Forest. Amy's keys were in the car, but her wallet was missing. No signs of foul play were discovered in or around Amy's vehicle, and Amy has never been found. No note was left, and everyone who encountered Amy on that day that she vanished said she was in good spirits. From the outside, Amy's life appeared to be happy and moving in all the right directions. Amy and Steve had recently purchased their first house. Also, she had just been certified as a trainer 2 days before she disappeared. In addition, the month before she vanished, Amy had paid off her student loans. Lastly, she was working hard and excited to try to qualify for the U.S. Women's Olympic Marathon Trials in 2000. Officials found no evidence of an animal attack or any blood evidence or shredded clothing near Amy's vehicle or along the 10K route. She was a skilled runner and often completed long, difficult runs out in nature. There was also no evidence that suggested Amy had injured herself during the run. It could be possible that a passing motorist accidentally hit Amy with their vehicle, panicked, and then covered up the crime. If this did occur, though, no evidence of the event was found. During the time Amy lived in Laramie, she was harassed by a middle-aged man when she waitressed at a campus coffee house. Nevertheless, police placed the man in question in Bangor, Maine on the night of July the 23rd, 1997, and seemed to have discounted him as a suspect. Another possibility is that an unknown opportunist killer noticed Amy while she was on her run. Although this type of crime is strategically rare, given the isolation location, a person would have had the opportunity to abduct her without detection. By most accounts, Amy and Steve were deeply in love. After Amy vanished, Steve led an exhaustive campaign to relocate her. For example, the Wroe Bechtel Recovery Headquarters ensured Amy's picture was in the media and on the internet, and it mailed more than 200,000 posters around the United States to help find Amy. Moreover, at the time of Amy's disappearance, Steve was reportedly rock climbing with his friend Sam Leiter in the mountains around Dubois, approximately 70 miles, roughly 133 kilometers away from Amy's location. According to officials, both cadaver dogs and luminol tests have been used over the years, but they uncovered no evidence that points to Steve or indicated what happened to Amy. The search began with Steve and 24 of his friends, but later that day there were ATVs, dogs, dirt bikes, and over 100 volunteers looking for any sign of Amy. The next day, horses and helicopters joined in, and by the third day, the search area had been expanded to a 30-mile radius. Steve's journal contained entries that outlined his need for dominance and control, as well as an undated poem that contemplated how to murder someone and hide their remains. When Steve was questioned about his wife's disappearance, he was initially cooperative, but after consulting his lawyer, Ken Spence, Steve refused to take a lie detector test and distanced himself from the investigation. Steve proclaimed he wasn't abusive or uncomfortable with anything in his journal. He also claimed he had nothing to do with his wife's disappearance and wasn't going to take a polygraph test because the test is flawed and a waste. Steve was never charged and is remarried. In late August 1997, the FBI requested satellite photos from NASA of the area on the day of Bechel's disappearance, but the satellite images provided no information. In January 1998, satellite images taken by the Russian space station Mir were also obtained by the FBI, but they also revealed nothing. In June 2003, a Timex Ironman digital watch was discovered by a doctor hiking near the Popo Aggie River and was turned into the police. It was noted to be similar to a watch Bechtel had owned at the time of her disappearance. However, law enforcement was unable to determine whether or not the watch belonged to her. Joanne remembers that Amy called that night before and said, Would you feel really bad if I didn't come tomorrow? I've thought about it a million times, and it was my only day off, Joanne said, which is her mother. She says later, I thought, why didn't we just make her come that day? Those almost moments, they're the things that you think about all the time, she says. Steve and Amy met at a university in Wyoming in Laramie in December 1991, took exercise physiology classes together in the spring, and were dating in the fall of 1992. Amy is the youngest of four closely spaced siblings, allies, and friends during the years growing up. Their father, Dwayne Wroe, is a retired city administrator, intelligent, gaunt, testy, chain-smoking, and a former big-time drinker. He gave it up decades ago. The family moved to Jackson in 1973, and not long after Amy was born, and Dwayne was city manager there and later in Douglas and Powell. Joanne Wroe, her mom, 12 years younger than her husband, quiet-voiced and is dark-haired version of the three tow-headed daughters. She can seem tentative, forthcoming, and insightful, almost in the same breath. She worked as a teacher of handicapped preschoolers for many years and now substitutes in the Powell school system. Amy got into the running bug in sixth grade. She wasn't by all accounts very good, but she kept it up all through high school in Douglas and at the University of Wyoming. By her junior and senior years in college, Amy started winning everything in sight. She was the captain of the UW cross-country and track teams, got named to the Western Athletic Conference All-Star team, and still holds the UW record in the 3,000 meters, 9.48.9. After college, she continued to compete in both regional and national competitions, and in 1996 she ran the Boston Marathon in 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 33 seconds. Though Amy finished 41 minutes behind winner UTEP Pipping, and through her time was 33 minutes behind the 1996 American Olympic Marathon qualifying time, Steve Bechtel would matter-of-factly tell anyone who asked that his wife was hoping to qualify for the 2000 Olympics. He and her friends pointed to her heart and her drive. Amy Rachel Wroe was a white female born on August the 4th, 1972 in Santa Barbara, California. She is 5 feet 6 inches tall, approximately 168 centimeters, and weighed approximately 110 pounds when she went missing. If you have any information on this case, please contact your local Crime Stoppers.